Hello everybody, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. This video is a continuance of my BEADventurous series, and for this video I designed this piece of jewelry using materials from the Czech Beads exclusive monthly subscription box. This was August box, and this is the piece I came up with, and I am really happy with how it turned out. I used almost all of the beads in the box. There were only two different beads I didn't use, and that was these rondelles right here, and by the way, these were packaged separately, but I just mixed them together. I didn't use these, but I totally could have put them in here if I wanted them to, because all the beads that came in this month's box look so good together. Now, I'm going to go over this with you and talk about this design and why I did this and like design process, so hang in there with me. This is not actually a tutorial, but it could be a tutorial if you're interested. I could show you how to make a piece like this. So this necklace here, as you can see, some of you might think it looks like a little kid strung it, just put on a whole bunch of beads, but actually it's more complicated than that. So when I design jewelry, I always have to have order in my mind. I like things to be very symmetrical, have things even on each side, you know, throughout the piece, but sometimes I feel like that's a downfall for me, and I see a lot of beautiful asymmetric pieces all the time that are gorgeous, but for me, with my mind, because I have like OCD, I want order and things have to be balanced out, but I've always loved asymmetrical pieces. Now the thing about designing a piece that's asymmetrical, good grief, is balancing the piece. So sometimes you'll see like a necklace that has multiple strands of beads on one side, and then the other side will have chain and maybe a pendant on one side. You know what I'm talking about, like beads and then a pendant with chain, like on that side, for example. And whenever I see a piece like that, or I think about making a piece like that, I always have to think about the weight of the piece. So if one side is really heavy, when you go to wear it, the heaviest point always falls to the middle of your necklace. So that is always something that I feel has to be challenging, and whenever I design jewelry, I always think of how is this piece going to be worn, you know, where's the heavy points at of the piece, stuff like that. So anyway, this necklace here, it looks like it's super random, like no thought was put into it, but actually that's not true. I put a ton of thought into this. So this here is a necklace, okay? You can put it on your neck, or you can wrap it around your wrist 4 times, okay? So I'm going to show you 4 times. Now, when I'm talking about how this was not easy to make, what I mean is the bead placement. So when you wrap this around like this, if you just do, for example, just stringing a whole bunch of stringing a whole bunch of beads randomly like this and making into a necklace, you really don't have to focus too much on bead placement. You can totally do random. But when you want to take a necklace and use it as a multi-purpose piece of jewelry where you could wear it different ways, wearing it the bracelet way, whenever you wrap it around, you don't really want your beads, the same kind of beads, to be side by side. It just doesn't look good. At least to me, I don't like it. So when I went to wrap this around, after I strung it the first time, I had my dragon beads. They were like too close to each other, and I had a lot of the beads that were just like side by side. So after I made my pattern, strung it up, I saw where I could make changes in it. So what I did is I laid it down like this in a snake motion, I guess I would say. Oh look, you can actually see. So I went like this, okay, with my piece, unstrung it, and I just went like that. And I saw where if I changed beads here and there, when I wrapped it around, the beads wouldn't be across from each other. So then I restrung it again, and there was just a couple places where I needed to change the beads so that when I wear it, they're not straight across from each other. Now there are like 2 beads, I think, a couple beads. These here are kind of close to each other that are the same. It's these 2, I think, that were really close. There's only a couple that are like the same beads that are side by side. So yeah, there was actually a lot of planning into this piece, and I just love how it turns out. It's so pretty. It's like a treasure piece. And I was thinking about doing a video showing how I made this a continuous necklace, because like back in the day I loved doing stuff like this, but because back in the day I didn't know how to make jewelry, nobody was teaching it on YouTube, because I started making jewelry when I was a little kid. When I made a big piece like this, because I love to do pieces like this all the time, mostly with seed beads that were just a mix of seed beads, I would string them up. I would do monofilament, 10-pound monofilament monofilament. But I would just tie a giant knot on one side, and the knot was always seen. But over years, I figured out how to make a continuous necklace with no closure and hide the knots. As you can see, you cannot see the knots in here. They're not visible. Now, I did string this with Essilon cord. It's the fine one, but I realized that after I did it, I could have just totally have done Fireline. So if you are interested, I could show you how to do a piece like this. What I really love about a piece like this, and I do feel that this is a ingenious design, is that you can use any beads you want, any beads you have in your stash. You can mix beads together, and bead soup is the perfect mix for a piece like this. And I didn't measure this. I wish I did. Sometimes when I make jewelry, I don't really measure at all. I just go by, you know, how many beads I have and where the project takes me. So what I did to make this is I strung all my beads on, got the order that I liked, and then I took and put my two ends together and I tied a surgeon's knot, okay? And I did this at a large bead. So looking here, see how there's a big bead here? I tied a knot, a big surgeon's knot, and then I took one of the strings and I passed it underneath the bead, and I made sure that I tied my knots in an area where the beads were large enough that I could pass through them twice, because some of these beads, like these little seed beads here, I could only go through that bead one time, alright? So I went this way, and then my other string went that way, and I tied a half-inch knot there, and then I went through the next bead, tied a half-inch knot, went through the bead, tied another half-inch knot, and went through the bead, and then I trimmed my string and I melted it because I use nylon, and whenever you use a synthetic bead stringing wire, you can melt the end. So that is how I made this. But yeah, you could also use Fireline to do this. Now I wanted to point out, I have a little charm here. It says, made with love. I got this from a previous Czech bead subscription box, but the box that I got this month did come with a bunch of charms, and I really like how that looks on there. And I was thinking, because they gave me such big 8mm jump rings, that I could have totally loaded this down with charms and put them, you know, throughout the whole piece, just totally deck it out. It would look so cool. But I decided to just do this one because, like I said, I wanted to wear this as a necklace and a bracelet. So yeah, this is a really cool piece. If you don't know, by the way, if you don't know what bead soup is, if you've beaded for a long time, you probably know what it is. But if you're new to jewelry making, bead soup is when you take your leftover beads and you mix them all together in a jar, or a bowl, or a compartment in your bead boxes. What I do, because I organize my beads by color, is in each of my box I will have a compartment where I put leftover beads from a project. So if I have 2 beads, 3 beads, 1 bead, I'll put them in that compartment. So in each box I have one compartment where it's a mixture of beads. So yeah, leftover beads are great for this. And I also just thought it would be really cool to do a color blocking technique. In a previous video I showed you guys a bohem style subscription that I did with a really neat necklace. I'll put a picture of that up. There was also a matching bracelet, and you could do seed beads like that, where you have sections where it's just all the same beads, the little sections. That would also look really cool, and do charms throughout the piece. But if you want, I could do a video for you guys. Just let me know down in the comments. This is totally a treasure piece. I love it so much, and I hope that I inspired you in this video. And I like doing videos like this where I have a piece that's completed and I talk about designing and why I did things the way that I did. So I hope that I inspired you, gave you a lot of ideas on what you could do with leftover beads, and just gave you some ideas for multi-purpose jewelry, because I love a necklace that could turn into a bracelet. So cool. I could also probably even wear this as an anklet if I wanted to. Let's see, 3 times. Yeah, I think that I could wear that as an anklet. But sometimes what happens is it'll get weighted on one side like this, and it might fall off my foot. But yeah, I just love this so much. Like I said, this kind of piece is a challenge for me. normally, but I think I've gotten better at beading over the years, and I was able to make this. It's so gorgeous. So yeah, I hope that inspired you, gave you a bunch of ideas to attempt something like this yourself. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Make sure that you click the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos, and check me out on my social media sites. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter, and I love seeing what you guys make. Please tag me and show me your creations.